All right, welcome everybody to another Purified Podcast. Today is February 23rd, 2020. I am your host, Luis Palacios, with my co-host, Chris.
How's it going, Chris? Hello. It is going very well today.
Wonderful. All right, so today we have a lot to talk about, a lot of things that I wanted to address, and of course we have our research topics for today. Hopefully everything goes well. I am gonna turn on my game now. Most of the topics are on the stream. If you are not listening on the stream, of course, you can check us out on my channel to be able to see the topics. But we have different topics for today, and today's research are going to be interesting. But Chris, how's your week with Pokemon Go been so far?
It's been pretty nice. They've been giving us a lot of events to get some Stardust, so we've been able to catch up a little bit on trying to get dust for the Ultra League and Master League. Wasn't able to catch too much the past few days, but at least a good chunk to get started.
All right, that's wonderful. Yes, we were going to be talking about everything that been going on, past, future, and current, and of course, whatever else that we plan for the rest of our year. But anyways, let's move on with our today's research topics. So first, we're gonna go ahead and recap a couple of events that either passing or current, the ones that we have right now. The first one, of course, is the Friendship Weekend, which is happening right now until tomorrow. If you guys are listening to the podcast in the next few days, I'm sorry that it came out a little bit later than expected, but we wanted to get a little more information on it. The Friendship Weekend just basically was just friendships. Yes, you level up friendship a lot faster. There wasn't a lot of surprises going on. I didn't think I see anything in the internet to talk about, right, Chris?
Not too much. People haven't been too excited about the Friendship Weekend, but it's definitely been a good way to get Stardust from opening gifts.
That is true, since we were able to hold 20 gifts and open up to 40, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
I think we had a higher chance to get Lucky Friends, but I'm not completely sure if that happened. I didn't get any, if I remember.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't see anything on that, but you did get double candy, and it was half Stardust, so that was always nice for these special trades.
That is correct. We had half the cost of Stardust, depending, of course, on your friendship level. But, yeah, the event really wasn't much. It's still going on for another day. I think tomorrow around 4 p.m. Eastern Time is when it ends. And trade candy was also a thing, and other increases, of course, but that's really about it. We don't really have any more to talk about or really see. This event really was the more chill event that we had in the last probably month of the game of the year. But I mean, that's really is what it is on that. Before we get into our next topic, of course, Chris, have you done any more Tornadoes raids since you devoted?
Sorry, Tornadoes raid?
Yeah, Tornadoes.
No. I think I did like one. It was such a foreign name when you said it. That's how much I haven't rated it.
Yeah, no, Tornadoes raids were actually up for almost a month now, and it has a day and 19 hours left on it. As a recording of this podcast, of course.
I told people there's only one good thing that Tornadoes is for, and that's just seeing that flying background. That's it.
That's true. I was happy whenever Tornadoes came around, but it wasn't like the one that we really needed. I did snag myself, though, 100%, I think on the first raid hour. So I do have the 100% ready to go. I mean, I will need more Stardust and candies, but after that, I really said, I'm done. I don't really need any more. And I was like, yep, no, I'm good. I don't need any more. I'm out. No more raid passes for me because I spent it all in Lickitung raid day. So that was me on that for sure. So I guess it's just one of those Pokemons where you really forget after the first week.
Yeah, it's kind of a one and done till it's shiny, really.
Yeah, that is true. So
especially if you got a hundo.
Correct. All right. So we will move on then. Our next recap is actually Reinhorn Community Day that happened yesterday for us from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And of course, it was a shiny release with the move Rod Wrecker when you evolve it with the Cinderstones. Chris, how did that event go for you? Because I know for a fact, since I said last time, that this is an event that I had to miss.
It definitely had the spawns. It was kind of strange going around between the different biomes. Like, you'd see some weather boosted Rhyhorns on one side and then some that weren't weather boosted on the other side of the biome. But definitely a good time to throw a star piece, get that 4.5 times Stardust, especially with the weather boost going on. Yeah, just a fun time to catch and get dust.
Yeah, that is for sure. I did let Chris actually use my account to catch a couple of shinies if I could. But he was able to get me the 100% IV Rhyhorn thanks to our community.
Yep, somebody posted it. I thought it was at Galore, so I was like, ooh, should I even go over there? But luckily enough, I decided to travel over, and it was still there.
Yeah. Luckily, it was there for both of us. So we got. Unfortunately, it was not a Shando for us, but it was just a regular Hundo that we needed to use. Of course, because Rhyhorn right now, or at least Rhyperior, when you evolve it, will have the move Wrecker, and that is actually the saving grace of this community day right now.
Oh yeah.
For the reason that we were not able to talk about it last time because the stats were not introduced into the game just yet. It was probably introduced maybe 2 days or maybe a day before Community Day happened, and it was forced into the game. So the move Raw Wrecker actually has almost the same attack power that other Community Day Pokemons like Blastburn and Frenzy Plant. So it's making Rhyperior the number 2 rock Pokemon in the meta.
Oh yeah.
And for that reason is that if you have an 100% and actually use it in the Master League, can actually defeat or able to, what's the right word that I'm looking for? Stir up the meta Pokemons in the Master League. And that's actually a big thing for a Pokemon that didn't really think that we were going to see have that much powerhouse after it was introduced with the Community Day.
Yeah, it definitely shakes up the meta a lot, having a Rock Wrecker in its arsenal.
That is correct. So, if you got your 100% Rhyhorns, if you needed to evolve it during Community Day hours, you had an hour up to after the Community Day ended to evolve it. So, hopefully you guys were able to get that. If you got an even better one, or even a 98, will do you just fine for the battle. So, we'll see how the Master League goes. We'll talk about that a little bit later, of course, in our PvP section. But for sure that if you had that, make sure you have a good one for Master League since it's gonna wreck it. Or if you couldn't get one, try to trade for one as soon as possible. And if you get lucky, power it up, get ready for Master League. So, yes, so that is mostly a recap. Again, it was just a normal day. And for me, unfortunately, I'm not able to talk about it very much just for the reason that I really did not play the event at all. So I only got the shinies that Chris was able to get me. So thank you very much, Chris, for that.
Oh, no problem.
All right. I do want to say one thing, though.
Mm-hmm.
You could have used my account a little bit more to get me Stardust.
I'm sorry.
I need the Stardust, man. I need the Stardust.
You got so much more than me, though.
I know, but come on. When I see my numbers go down from 2.5, I'm just sad right there.
Oh, yeah.
I know, but I mean, I didn't need the Stardust. I am probably hoping to go do the Toxic Cup. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully, I get the time to do it because Master League is already taking most of them. So.
Oh yeah. At least we already have some built, especially you, since you have all those Hondos already fully powered up. You're just gonna need to give them the second moves.
That is correct. Well, like again, we'll talk about it just a little more into the podcast, just for the reason that is more PvP section wise. So
okay.
We'll get to it. Don't worry. So, for the next research topic, we actually have the dates and ticket purchases of the Safari Zone in Philadelphia. It was announced a couple of days back, and they're going to be going live on Monday, I think around 10 a.m. our time, Eastern time. That's usually
tomorrow?
So tomorrow, yes. Tomorrow is when we actually get the tickets. The event is from May 8th to May 10th. We also going to have the chance to buy the City Pass to be able to do the special race, special research around the city. So that way we're not stuck in one place playing the game for one time.
Yeah.
But the dates are announced, and then luckily enough, Chris and I are going to be going to the Safari Zone in Philadelphia. You got anything to say?
Super hyped for that. I mean, I'm looking at the Pokemon they have spawning, and I mean, like, already exciting having Voltorb as the new one. Lowland Sandshrew, Rufflet is already going to be available, but definitely cool to see. I'm kind of underwhelmed with Mr. Mime, other than getting the shiny chance, but I'm curious if they'll let Mr. Mime, Mime Jr., be in the eggs, because if that's a thing, oh, you already know everyone's going to be hatching eggs there.
That is for sure. So just as Chris mentioned, we have the announcements of the Pokemon that are going to be spawning in the Safari Zone Philadelphia. Those Pokemon include Shiny Boltron, which is going to be introduced the very first time for in the game. We have a Lowland Sandshrew spawning to Unknown P, which is actually one of the letters we already have, Chris, from Goldfest. I know, right? Bronson, which is a trigger for you.
Yeah, took me too long to get that shiny.
That's correct. And then a brand new Pokemon introduced from Generation 5, Rufflet, if I'm saying that correctly. Do know, though, that Rufflet will actually be available worldwide before the event starts. So it's not going to be exclusive to Safari Zone, but it's going to be spawning more over there. So I'm actually excited. I like that Pokemon a lot. His evolution in the main games was actually insanely hard to get, just because he actually evolved almost the same as a pseudo-legendary Pokemon, just like Tyranitar and Hydreigon. It evolved almost too close to level 50 or 60, if I remember correctly.
It was up there.
Yeah, it was up there. Tickets, I can probably go ahead and go to the website real quick to actually understand what the price is. I think they said that the general admission is $12, and then early access tickets will be $18. So you get an extra 2 hours to play if you do the early access. The City Explorer Pass can also be included in that, and that's going to be an extra $8, but you do have to buy that at the same time that you're buying the tickets. So you can decide to do it afterwards once you purchase the tickets for Safari Zone.
Yeah.
The city plans will include 10 exclusive raids that will have a 72-hour timer. It will come from having the legendary birds in 3-star raids, which is actually pretty fun because that is the first time we see them in lower tier aside from raid days. Bravery is also going to be the evolution that's going to be spawning in 2-star raids. So not too much on that one, but it's still it's nice to see if we can find maybe a good IV for the Pokemon.
Yeah, maybe.
That is correct. Legendary Pokemon and EX-ray Pokemon are available in general, while the Safari Zone is running in will be appearing in 2-star raids. So maybe we'll see more Pokemon that we don't usually see. Who knows, really? We'll see how it goes, because we do have another Safari Zone happening next month, which is a Safari Zone San Luis. A lot of people are already going. Unfortunately, we don't have the money to go to 2 Safari Zones this time around.
Yeah, no.
It will be funny, but if we do, you'll hear from us before the next podcast, or before the Safari Zone starts. The other 4 City Explorer raids will be feature 1 raid battle each level and difficulty from 1 star to 4 stars. So there are many options. We'll see when it goes live tomorrow for sure. Let's make sure that we get our tickets, and we're for sure gonna be buying the City Explorer Pass.
For sure.
So, but at the same time, since the announcement of the dates and the hours and the money and all that stuff, I am planning to do a couple of meetups with other YouTubers. So check my Instagram, or not my Instagram, I'm sorry, my Twitter, which is on the Pure Letter Go Twitter, which also has the Purify Podcast channel. That will I will announce where I'll be for the remaining of the dates. I'm planning to go from Thursday to Monday, but that really depends on how the tickets for the flight goes. So, what about you, Chris?
I'll be flying in on I believe May 8th.
Okay.
And leaving the day after, I believe, on May 11th. That way I can get the full experience without rushing out too late or too early.
That's true. Remember, the city pass is gonna be all weekend long, so we can use it all weekend long when it comes down to it.
I already know we're gonna be doing getting the most of our money there.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, just follow us on social media. We'll announce where we're gonna be for the next few days, and then we'll see how it goes from then on. But those are really is the biggest topics that we have, aside from the next one that we're gonna be talking about. But for sure that the Safari Zone is gonna be fun because it's the first Safari Zone that we have in the United States, and I mean, aside from GoFest, it really is something that we could have used a long time ago. But I guess they were waiting for the right time.
Yeah.
Niantic, please give us everything here in the United States.
only the United States ever.
Oh man, you can already see like all the people just going like, no, we need it in other places.
They already have GoFest. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, GoFest was fun
Chicago,
for the last 3 years for sure, but I feel like it's already getting stale. So
I am curious where they're gonna do it this year.
That is true.
We'll see.
Well, there was actually a data mine for the names of other Safari Zones happening the rest of the year. Some happening in South America, some happening in I think in the South Korea. So that's going to be interesting if they do actually announce that eventually. But I think that's going to be either for the summer or for the fall. So they're just preparing everything for that. Don't quote me on it yet, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, it can always change. Yeah,
it can always change. Remember, the data minings only find information; they don't find exact posts from Niantic. So that is just that speculation when it comes down to it. But we'll see. That's going to be fun. So just check us out. Make sure that you're listening to podcasts in any shape or form. We'll be out there talking about it as the days come closer. All right, so we actually have another research topic to talk about, and that is it's going to be a small little controversy. It's not the one that we were talking about earlier, Chris. It's about the egg shakeup or the extravaganza one, or whatever they're calling it, really. So
fossil event, yeah.
Yeah. So Niantic announced the 7K pool is going to be hatching only 7K. Only fossil Pokemons in 7K eggs, and that is a lot of people are saying no. after the Valentine's Day event and the Sinnoh event, eggs, any type of egg event that they're announced has actually put us on a back burner. The grind is fine, but because it's back to back, at least for me, back to back egg events has actually depleted me for wanting to do any eggs. I just don't see it why they had to go that far with the egg events, and it's not the only way to introduce shinies of other Pokemons or any new Pokemons. They could have been other way around. Chris, what do you have to say about that?
I mean, I know a lot of people were disappointed just with they were just starting to hunt Railu, so just getting that torn away from them and putting it in a longer distance egg was already devastating for many. I mean, there are people that love hunting the new Pokemon for their Pokédex, so I'm sure plenty of people were excited to get the new fossils like Arcan and Tortuga. I believe I pronounced that correct. I'm not sure. But, I mean, hatching an Aerodactyl from a 7K was pretty hilarious to see. So
yeah, and all the other YouTubers have actually been talking about it too. One specifically is Jake T. Gilly, a friend of Mystic Sevens. If you haven't checked his channel, of course, check him out whenever you can. This egg event really said that Niantic, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing with the game. Everybody's thinking that you're using the egg to just bring in the money, and it's not something that really should be part of this. I mean, yeah, Niantic has to make money in any shape, way, or form, but it's not the only way to do things. And I did discuss a little bit in the last podcast, but it's not what we need for an entire month. Now, the only problem with this extravaganza event is that there is no end date. They did not announce that there's going to be any time. So if you were hoping to get a good IV, a Alolan, or a shiny baby, your chances are slim right now for the reason that those Pokemon are only hatching out of the regular eggs, and the pool is much, much bigger for that reason. Riolu is also in 10Ks now, so that is just... it's one of those things where it just grinds my gears a little bit.
I mean, I was also annoyed just with the fact that you could have been opening eggs at the time that it just switched over without even knowing, and just grabbing a bunch of fossil Pokemon before they even announced it. Which, don't get me wrong, that kind of fits with the event. Like, ooh, look at this big surprise. But, I mean, I'm sure plenty of people were just furious to find out that they put fossil Pokemon in, like, super incubators or something.
That is correct. Now, we are talking this in a couple of days after everything that has been announced, of course, but there's also one thing that they mention, and that is, of course, that Niantic has heard our pleas, our complaints. They will be making adjustments in future events, and this one actually caught me by surprise, I think yesterday. But it wasn't an official post from Niantic. It was actually a post from Cerebi, which actually covers all Pokemon media from anywhere that they could. And it says that in Pokemon Day, which is actually happening next week, what would have been just another egg event to hatch the custom Pokemons has switched over a little bit more. So you can still hatch them. I think you can still hatch them from the eggs. But the custom Pokemons will also be appearing in 1-star raids. That is a little bit of relief, mostly because our community, I know, is a more harder raider community, but it was still it's still kind of a money grab. At least you're not spending, 200 coins on super incubators just to hatch the custom Pokemons. And then, of course, you'll be able to do raids. So you'll be saving half your actual income when it comes down to this. What do you think about that?
I mean, I do agree that a lot of people will be saving money. I mean, just the fact that a lot of us buy not incubators, buy passes in bulk. But I mean, when you think about it, you're only really saving about $1 per day if you're one of the people that agree that premium raid passes are $1. I mean, you're only getting that free pass per day to raid that 1-star raid, unless you're hopping in a bunch of them. But either way, you're going to be spending money.
That is true.
Choose your poison kind of thing.
Yes, yeah. So just like you said, it is one of those things where you have to pick and choose. Now there are more things happening with the event. Of course, we also have the clone Pokemons happening in 4-star raids, I think they said. And that is, of course, another grind of itself. So you only have so much limited time, and unless you've been stacking coins for the last month, you basically won't be able to do one at a time. So trainers trying to plan your coins, your whatever raids you're going to be doing for the time. Try to plan to when to be able to do those raids if you are planning to get at least a collection of everything. For the reason that you only have so many days, you only have one raid pass, 2 at most if you didn't use one the day before. But just make sure that you are at least prepared for this event. And we're warning you just a couple of days. Hopefully this podcast is pushed into our podcast feed. Sooner you think, I'll try to make it available as soon as possible for you guys to listen. So Chris, again, another one of those grind events. We'll see how it goes for that point.
Well, also with the clone Pokemon, there's also going to be Armored Mewtwo again too. So that's another Pokemon to use your passes on.
Oh my goodness, that is true.
Oh my gosh, really picking and choosing.
Yeah, so you're really gonna have to pick and choose, depending on where you come from or what you want to do. Armored Mewtwo has been confirmed as shiny either way, so we're not sure if people are going to be doing that more either. There's a lot of things that they're still in the covers of it, and I'm sure that the people who are actually already have the information are waiting for the right time to say it. So we'll see how it goes. hopefully everything goes well, and hopefully it's not just another big disaster at the end of the day. But yeah, that's basically what Niantic is doing. They will maybe making adjustments to the pool of eggs, maybe to the events featuring eggs, and then we'll see how the rest of our events go from here on out. So thank you very much, Niantic, for listening to us. We appreciate it very much. Whenever I heard that, I said hashtag thank you, Niantic, and Twitter.
Oh, yes.
So it helped out a little bit. But we don't know what the adjustments are just yet, so we'll see how they really do handle it in the coming days. All right, so that's basically all our research topics for today, but we do have, once again, our PvP section, and the reason why we don't have much to talk about is because it's been a slow week for a lot of the news, aside from the announcements we just mentioned. But I am giving the PvP section a little bit more time for us to talk about, just for the reason that there's a lot of things to talk about in PvP right now. Our PvP section, we're going to call it Get Good or Get Wrecked. How you like that?
Every day, man. I love it. Love it.
All right, Get Good or Get Wrecked. Here we go. So, first thing that we're going to talk about, it's something a little bit going into the dark side of things. Earlier last week, we had another problem with the hashtag GirlsThatPvP. Now, if you have actually been following the PvP scene, you know that the hashtag was created for women that wanted to actually have a strong impact in the PvP scene in Pokemon Go. That was the case for the longest time, and it's been actually working pretty well because I've seen a lot of great competitors actually talk about the PvP section, and it's actually a great way to just bring in more and more audience to the PvP community, which it's been growing since the days of release. And luckily, that hashtag has actually helped out a lot, even for the women in our community. Now, the controversy is that the hashtag was used maliciously, if that's the right word I'm looking for, and on Twitter, for the reason that they were basically saying you're using the hashtag to gain attention, to womanize people. Sorry about that, and just, you know, use it for the advantage to just bully the community itself. When I heard of that, and everybody was talking about it too, I really said, why do you want to bully a community that's so strong in their own way, and just say all of those things? I mean, I don't understand, why do you want to sexualize this kind of hashtag, which is a safe place for the woman in the community, in the PvP community, and just, I don't know. I don't understand the reasoning of this person's tweet at the end of the day. Now, the tweet, I think, has been deleted since then. I'm not completely sure. It's just basically saying, hey, it was a picture of a Giratina 1 HP beating a woman trainer at the moment of, and then pasting a picture, or the face of the on the face of the girl, putting in a picture of a man crying about it, and then talking about all this controversy and about how you guys are just using the hashtag for this and that, and it's a man behind a woman's body and all that stuff. Now, I understand that, you know, when you customize your character on the in-game, you can choose and pick whatever you want. I've seen a lot of people do that. It doesn't really matter when it comes down to it, but they thought that it was just another man behind the character. That really sparked the controversy that led to a lot of women speaking up and understanding that the hashtag was being used in a different way that they were intended to.
Yeah.
The only one thing that I want to actually mention too is that I was listening to another podcast, which is the Lure Up podcast with Ken Pekastor and Adam Tussle. They talk about, at least Ken was talking about all of this, and brought a lot of attention to that controversy. And it was dark. It was darker than what they usually you will see in the in the podcast, but that's because they were actually talking about the great things about it. At the same time, they talked about like the experiences the woman had. One of them being like, hey, that you see a woman in the PvP tournament and you say, oh, this is just gonna be an easy win and things like that. There was also some things that Unfortunately, I don't want to say, but it was really dark when I listened to it. If you want to listen more about it, and I want to take the spotlight from the blow up, go ahead and give it a go. It's also the Professor Network, if anything. TheProfessorNetwork.com, I think is his link, and you'll listen to the latest podcast. You'll see how everything goes. Chris, what else you have to say about it, really?
I mean, I think just the fact that the community came together to kind of hold the people accountable that used the hashtag in a bad way, and even Pokemon Go Stadium themselves, like getting all the information together and coming together to give their stance on it, even if it was a little bit later than a lot of people would have liked. They were researching everything to make sure that all the info was correct when they were holding everyone accountable. And even Jay Pharmacist holding the little stream for the Queen of the Stream afterwards to kind of empower all the female streamers that PvP showed how good they are.
Yeah, so
I think that was important.
So aside from all the dark moments that this has actually put in, my opinion is, at least I want to say this to everybody out there and anybody who's listening to us. For us, it doesn't matter what you use to be able to empower yourself. If you want to use the hashtag, use it. If it's something that you feel safe, use it. I know a lot of people out there, a lot of women out there that are such an amazing person. From our Discord, we have our leaders. One of them is a woman, and she's been amazingly creating events for us to be able to make sure that we are, part of our community, part of ourselves. Chris, you have your girlfriend, which goes along with you, but at the same time, she learns all of the things with the PvP community, and I feel like that's great and everything. And other people that I know that, yes, there will be times where this is gonna happen. Unfortunately, this is how the world is. We don't want to live in that world, but we can at least make it a little bit safer for everybody. And don't feel like you're alone in this. You are being heard, but you have to speak up, make sure that you understand where you're coming from. And if you need help, seek the help needed. We're always here. Just understand everybody out there that's listening. Make sure that you are doing what's right for your community. Don't do anything that's just going to harm it in a way, because we all love the game. We are all part of this game and this community, and we want to make sure that it's the best that it can be for everybody. So,
well said.
I needed to say it because I feel like it's been boiling in me since this whole fiasco happened. So,
yeah, it took me off guard.
Yeah, no worries. But yeah, we're gonna just leave it at that. Again, we'll do what we can and do what everything else it happens under. So thank you very much for that part, for listening, for that Chris too, and everybody out there who's listening to the podcast. All right, so to get back on a little more brighter side of the Pokemon PvP community, get good or get wrecked. We have our announcement for the March Silt Arena, the Toxic Cup. Chris, what stats do you have for me today?
Okay, so Toxic Cup. It's, of course, going to have some, what's it called, poison, especially with that name. And I was kind of surprised to see that they had, what's it called, normal. I knew that you'd want to have a counter user for that. Right. And they also have bug, ground, and grass. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, okay, what's banned? And it's going to be Tropius, Noctowl, Vigoroth, and the Mud Boys. So seeing that the Mud Boys aren't there is definitely a breath of relief from a lot of people. And because of that, there's going to be some really interesting Pokemon at the top of the meta. One of the ones at the top that doesn't surprise me is a Golbat. But he's not going to thrive very well against the normal types because his Shadow Ball and Poison Fang isn't really going to hit them for much. So you're definitely going to want to bring either a normal or just a good wall for him. But Barrel is at the second. You know, I love that face. Whenever he uses a charge move, I know that everyone has to stare at his open eyes. I love how much he can wall. He's a great anti-tank, especially with Fire Fang Hippowdon on the horizon. Everyone's given him a lot of hype, but I don't know if he's going to live up. Wormadam Trash with Confusion. Oh my gosh, if you can't break through that wall, he is just going to eat away at you and farm. Any cup that Steelix is allowed, he will thrive. So you're going to have to watch out for him. Other than that, there's really just going to be any bug. I'm surprised that Scizor went down, but any bug, especially the bug steals, are going to be really just a good wall to moves, and they're also going to dish out a lot of damage. So they're only really going to have to worry about the fire attacks, which aren't very prevalent. So that's just going to be Fire Fang. It's going to be the fire charge moves, but if you have a shield advantage, that's not going to matter. Flygon is pretty high up there, so he might get a time to shine. And I'm honestly surprised to see Piloswine so high, but I think that's just because most of his weaknesses aren't going to be on the field since they're all banned, basically.
Yeah, that is true. So, as just mentioned, all of those Pokemons are being tested as of now, so make sure you do your research. I am seeing the post from Silk Arena, and they said, of course, the bug types, poison types, normal types, ground types, and grass types are going to be the ones that this meta is going to bring. The bans, of course, are going to be Tropius, Noctowl, Vigoroth, and the Mud Boy. So any Pokemon that actually has the water ground typing will not be eligible in this cup. If you want more information about that, make sure you check the Silk Arena's webpage. They'll talk all about what they think that has happened. And of course, I'll link everything in the description eventually. If not, then I'll have it ready for, of course, the podcast form of this. But Toxic Cup seems to look like really interesting. I hope that I can probably bring a couple of off-meta Pokemons and see how it goes. I did catch if I remember correctly, I did catch a Sillipede, I think is his name.
Yeah, Venipede for Scolipede.
Yeah, Scolipede. I catched that in the wild, and I think it was a ranked. I think it was a top 100 rank. If I can remember correctly. I'll have to check that later.
I don't know how I feel about him.
You know
he
what?
is ranked 89, but he is an interesting Pokemon for sure.
It's gonna be interesting when you see it. I just like his design a lot better, so hopefully that he will shine more than he think. But the number one pick in this meta right now, and I think I saw that correctly, was Hippodamon? The Hippo one, right?
For fire, that one's gonna be the top fire quick move.
Yeah.
I don't think he's very high anymore, at least at the current rankings, but just the fact that he gets the only fire quick move that's really relevant, other than being like, what's his name, Camerupt. Oh my gosh, I if I see a Camerupt on somebody's team, I'm already going to laugh at them. I'm sorry, but that's not a Pokemon I would recommend using.
Yeah, that is true. So, again,
I think Pidgeot is getting too much hype.
I think so too,
Like,
but that's mostly because they
too much
always,
hype.
you need your legacy moves on Pidgeot, and that sometimes is harder to get than anything. Hopefully we'll see a little of shake up on the move pool. Who knows, really, but we'll see how it goes for sure. It's just been announced, so it's only a week away before it starts. Everybody's already talking about it. Poke AK, King. But, of course, PvP, the Silk Arena is not the only thing that is in everybody's mind right now, especially because the Go Battle League is about to switch over to his final preseason league, the Master League. Now, that's happening tomorrow as a recording of this podcast, which is going to be February 24th. Hey, we have look at that. We have the Professor Network actually on the chat right now, and he is the one that we were mentioning earlier in the podcast from the Lure Up. Thank you very much, Professor Network. Ken, if you're out there, thank you so much for coming by. I appreciate it. But before we... in Chris, we have also Team Camera up.
No,
yeah,
never.
So it looks like our PvP community is coming along to hope on the live stream for sure. But once again, I want to just get back on ship here and actually talk about the Master League. Now, the Master League, it's finally the one league that everybody wants to talk about for the reason that you'll finally be able to use your 100% Pokemons, your power-up Pokemons, everything that you've been using for the last 3 years and a half, power up, ready to go. Probably needs the second move anyways. Master League, what do you think? What are your thoughts about finally using a meta relevant for the 100% legendary Pokemons out there that we're using, that we have mostly?
I think Master League is going to be really just fun to finally get into, mostly because so many people already have fully powered up Pokemon to take on the raids. So you're going to see a lot of Kyogres and Groudons since people already have them powered up. But not as many Dialgas, except for the people that have looked into the meta. I mean, just the fact that it has such great typing is going to mean that it's basically going to be on everyone's team. So you're going to have to bring a counter for it.
Excuse me. Yeah, that is correct. So what we saw, at least in our reviews, and everybody has been talking about it since it was announced, technically, the Master League is going to feature a lot of good Pokemons that we don't usually use because they are either too low or they cannot go into the actual Ultra League or Great League meta, unless you get really lucky, of course, in the trades. But our number one pick that everybody's talking about, and I think that's everybody's going to be way ready for it when it comes out tomorrow, it's going to be Dialga. And we did talk about it a little bit last podcast. Dialga is a monster. His typing, his stats, everything that you get through it. Now, you, Chris, and I, we did a lucky trade for one. It didn't really become the greatest, but it was still above the 90s.
Yeah, I think mine ended up being a 93. Doesn't have horrible IVs.
Yeah, but... So. And then earlier today, I actually was trading somebody for a Dialga to see if I can get it lucky.
Super jealous.
I did not get a lucky, but I did get a 98 IV Dialga. So I was like, no way. First of all, it's going to take me a little more Stardust, a little more candy to power up. And right now, I'm completely out of candy because I was powering on this. I don't have the second move, which is sad right now. I might have to actually do a couple of raids tomorrow if I can actually get a little extra candy so I can get ready to go. But I got a 98. We also have the 100% that Chris was able to get us for Rhyhorn. So Rhyperior is also going to be an amazing counter to those Pokemons. Our 100% right there, ready to go with Rod Record, the Community Day move, which is now a legacy move in the Pokemon Go world. But we also, there's a lot of Pokemons. There's Giratina Origin Form, there's Artira Alter Form, there's, I don't know, the nauseum of Pokemons out there. Of course, there are some Pokemons that either too low or too slow in the meta that they're not going to really see the shine of day. But it's just like everybody was saying, we have a lot of Pokemons already power up. We have 100% ready to go. We have everything that we can really do to really use them. There's something that we really needed to really use in the metas because we never really got the chance to try Master League unless you were playing against somebody else. The Silk Arena was trying to make sure that it was only Great League for the reason that it was more accessible for everybody. So this is a great way to finally put your Pokemons to use after a longest time. Now, I do have so many good 100%, but we're not sure how they're going to be doing in the meta. One of them being my lucky, shiny Dragonite. That's 100% too. And I actually just finished powering up with the Buddies feature, so he is best friend. So he'll mostly be in my party whenever I use it or not. So I'm going to be flexing that for sure in Master League, even if I don't win that many matches. But we'll see how it goes. I power up Togekiss, that's 98, ready to go. Everything that I have Melmetal, which is a 96. So I do have some Pokemons that are going to be somewhat relevant in the Master League. And we'll see how they actually fare out once the Master League really starts. How the meta is going to shape. And again, this is only going to be for a week because February ends next Saturday. That means that the very first day of the Gold Battle League, the very first season of the Gold Battle League will start on Sunday, March 1st. That's going to be our real test. So this week, I am hoping to see if I can get to rank 10 before the preseason ends. I have been ranked 9 since the Ultra League. But I don't know.
I've been moving up and down, up and down.
But I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, it's been a grind. The Ultra League has actually been diverse, I do have to say. But then all of a sudden you start seeing Dialgas, you start seeing Swampers, you start seeing Togekis, Octo Fairies, anything that you in the world of Pokemon Go that don't want to see anymore, you know. For sure that the higher you go, the more talented people you're going to actually meet, and then the more meta Pokemons you're going to meet. So do remember that those usually are the conditions when it comes down to Pokemon, to the meta. So we'll see if Niantic actually learn a lot from this month of preseason, aside from patching glitches. Mm-hmm. But in the end of the day, it's all about if the season 1 is going to start the same way, or is it actually going to give us a way to see everybody's rankings, or maybe how the meta is going to shape out, if they're going to ban some Pokemons. We're not sure. We'll see how when Saturday comes around. We'll hopefully have the details by then, and then on our next podcast, we'll talk about it for sure on that. That's going to be really interesting. But yeah, that's pretty much all the news that we have for today. Chris, do you have anything else you have to say, though?
I mean, I think a lot of the matchups are going to take a lot of people by surprise. I mean, I think one of the more interesting ones is between Metagross and Rhyperior. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's really going to depend on what people use as the quick move. I think Mudslap's going to be preferred, though. But you'd think a Bullet Punch Metagross with a Meteor Mash might be able to get to it quicker, but just going straight Surf, the Rhyperior is going to win every time. It's really interesting to me. Yeah,
so I'm going to try it out with Surf for sure and see how it goes. But if the meta actually does require me to have Earthquake or something else, we'll see how it really goes. The move that you want right now for sure on Rhyperior is going to be Rod Record no matter what.
Oh, yeah.
So, again, if you could not get it during Community Day last Saturday, make sure you do the trades for them, because it's going to be fun, interesting, and how it's going to shape the meta, really. That's going to be one of them, aside from a lot of the other Community Day Pokemons that we already have, but they don't really max out to the point where the other legendaries or other Pokemons are. However, though, I did not actually have one Giratina for Ultra League, but I do have my Alter Form 100% Giratina. Chris, you got me this a while back. I did power up to the grind before any of this was announced, so
that one's gonna be scary.
Yes, it's going to be scary. I do have to switch it over from Shadow Sneak to Ancient Power to see if actually it has some damage, but I do have a lot of good 100% from the meta. I also have Metagross, but unfortunately my Metagross doesn't have the Community Day move, which I was hoping that I'll have it before, or we'll have like the exclusive TMs before this happened, but unfortunately it's not going to happen. We'll see if it actually works. I have other Pokemons really, and that's going to be it's going to be a really meta defining league when it comes out. So. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's basically we do have all for today. Again, Chris, if you have any more information that you want to give out to the podcast, now is the time. Okay, I guess not. But before we go, of course, I do want to say thank you very much, everybody in the chat who coming by. I know that we don't usually read the chat aloud unless there's somebody really out there who wants to listen. But if you guys want anything during the live stream, you have any information you want to give us or any questions you have, make sure you type it out, because I am looking at it constantly to make sure that I can address that, or if not, find the information as quickly as possible, since this podcast is only usually an hour for you guys. But if you have any questions, concerns, anything, information that you want to say, make sure you go and just type it up on the chat. if you are listening this in a podcast form once the feed is live, you can, of course, email us at thepurifiedpodcast@gmail.com. You can also call or text, leave a voice message, if anything, at 941-417-9243. Again, we're just starting out. We're trying to make sure that we have all information for everybody. But if you are listening out there, make sure that, give us something. I mean, we'll be happy to talk about anything that you guys want us to talk about. And if there's anything we're missing, we'll definitely talk it in the next podcast or during the live stream if we're missing any information for the week. That's the reason why I do it this way, and this is the reason why I really want to interact with the community as much as possible. So do give us a listen. If you want to listen again to the podcast, it will be live soon in the next few days on our live stream. The link is in the description of the YouTube channel and the live stream. And if you click on it, you'll be able to subscribe to your favorite podcast form, like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, whatever else you really listen to any podcast, you'll be able to just go ahead and click on it. It's just free to listen, just like I always say. And of course, if you want to give us a review, go ahead. We are more than welcome to any reviews. Of course, 5 stars will be the best, but you guys know that. I got to do a little bit shameless plug out there for sure. But Chris, do you have anywhere that anybody can contact you? Of course, check out my Twitter, PureLetterGo. Chris, do you have anything out there for people to look at you?
If they want to follow me, my Twitter is going to be at Christo, CHRISTO. Should be 05. Let me double check. I want to make sure I'm not
shameless
insane.
Plug, people. Shameless plug.
Yeah, Christo 0517.
All
So
right.
if you want to follow that.
I'll make sure to link that in the description too, and then share it with everybody else. So again, you guys can always talk to us, and we'll be there to just give you the information you need. So thank you once again, Chris, for joining me on this beautiful, beautiful night for our podcast. And
Very pleasant.
and thank you very much for everybody here that has come to the stream and have listened to us. This has been the Purified Podcast. I am your host again, Luis, my co-host, Chris, and hopefully we'll see you for the next time. Chris?
Hello, hello.
All right. Well, have a good night.
Have a good night, guys.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a good time.